Hello and welcome to Mehta-Ethics. Today I'm going to be doing a sort of response/reaction video to Channel 4 News. So they've actually done a video on anti-natalism basically. So what they've done is they've got this bloke Lawrence talking to someone else, I don't know her name, and they're essentially debating anti-natalism. They haven't used the word anti-natalism, but that is what the debate focuses around. So it's really interesting. I'd like to share my thoughts on it. Let's start the video.
I'm a single mum.
Well, you've done something really horrible there. You've dragged someone and forced them into a position they didn't want to be in. No one ever asked to be born.
I feel like you're on another planet. Having children is obviously such a joy and a great thing in life. It's a natural feeling.
Well, I already want to stop her there because she says it's such a joy, which could be true, you know, that's a very subjective thing, but it just shows she's immediately not thinking of the child. It's like, oh, why can't I do this? It's similar to when children want to circumcise their baby boys. Why would you take this choice away from parents? Well, it's not actually the parents we're talking about here. It's the child that can't consent and is going to be harmed that's relevant to the conversation. It's also like eating meat. Why can't I eat meat? Well, you're actually the perpetrator, not the victim in this situation.
As a woman, we all have that maternal instinct as well.
My view on biological...
And now I feel like I have to say something about maternal instinct, okay? This is worthy of a whole video, right? So instinct probably does play a part in why people have kids, but we completely discount the social pressure that's extremely relevant in this situation. Kids are raised from the time they are children to make more kids, especially girls, being given dolls to play with, which is totally fine if you want to play with dolls, but there is a certain level of indoctrination going on. There's also a whole bunch of studies showing that people can be happier without kids. We definitely have an instinct for sex, which leads to children, but as far as it goes, having children themselves, I'm not convinced that there is a strong biological instinct for that specifically.
children, I don't think people should have them.
I'm going to have to stop here and just ask you why.
No one ever asked to be born. When you give birth, you're choosing to do something to someone else, you're creating them. They never asked for it. You know, you can't get consent from someone to bring them into the world.
That's exactly my point. It's somebody else that's relevant to the situation, and unfortunately parents don't think of this.
But it is a natural process.
But just because something's natural doesn't mean it's right. There are many things that happen in nature which we would say that's bad, like malaria, you know, animals rape each other, things like this. If you look at any other situation in our daily lives where we would talk about consent, should not act if you can't get consent from someone.
I'm a single mum and I have a son who's 9 years old, and just before I turned 20 I decided that I was going to be a surrogate, and I was UK's youngest surrogate to triplets.
I can totally understand that people have this bias.
So when she was 19?
Nothing's stopping me, like I could do it. Well, actually, I had a vasectomy 2 weeks ago, so there is something stopping me. There was nothing.
Okay, well.
There was nothing stopping me.
What made you make that decision so young?
Because I know already that I'm not going.
At the age of 23, I did not know half of what I know now.
So it's really ironic, right? She says that he's too young for a vasectomy, but she just said she had surrogate triplets at age 19. Like, the double standard here is insane. And this is frequent. Like, people have kids at 22 and that's no issue, but good luck trying to get a vasectomy, or I know it can be harder for women, good luck trying to get your tubes tied.
It didn't change. I'm sure you're not the same. I'm definitely not the same person that I was when I was 19. To experience like pregnancy, I can't even put into words how that feels. Like, it's a feeling that you've never ever felt before. Like, I don't know, it kind of saddens me to know that you'll never experience that.
All of that to me just sounds like an ego trip.
Well, look, that's not how I'd phrase it, but I mean, he says it at how it is. Like, it just is an ego trip. But you know, they're not doing it intentionally. They're not doing it to stroke their ego. They're not really conscious of that. It's sort of partly something they've been raised to do, something they would like to do, and it's just sort of negligence. They just don't think of the child in the situation. Just like how when people go to the shops and they eat a burger, they don't think of the cow in the situation.
Brought someone into existence and it's made you feel all these things. Yeah, that's good for you, but we can't see other people as a means to our own ends.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it how it is. I feel like you're on another planet.
Just not an argument.
I can understand now that bringing someone into the world just for my selfish desires is not a good reason to do it. When you do create someone, you're bringing them into a world where you know that there are loads of bad things that could happen to them. They could be hit by a car and live with lasting pain. They could get cancer very early on, fall victim to sex trafficking, all things like this. Do you think that your selfish desire to have that kid is worth it if they live a life like that?
That's a bit crazy. Like, why are you always picking up
That's great. That's something that most people never think of.
the negative in this situation? Because that's all I'm hearing you say is, so this could happen, that could happen. So I'm sure you've had a bad experience or event some point in your life up until now. Most people have, whether it's a bad memory or you've lost someone or whatever the case is. You learn to deal and cope.
You learn to mitigate the bad things that happen to you.
But no one can just live their life in this bubble.
But bringing someone into existence, well, you've done something really horrible there. You've dragged someone and forced them into a position they didn't want to be in, and those bad things are happening to them, and you've done that.
Yeah, so she says, why are you just picking up on the negative, right? Yes, we learn to mitigate the pain, right? David Benatar says, once we're born, we have an interest in continuing to live, right? Part of why I have this YouTube channel is to discover and discuss how anti-natalists can still live happy lives. But we should never be put in that position in the first place where we have to learn to mitigate the pain, right? Like, imagine if you didn't know how to swim and I threw you in the pool and maybe you drowned, but maybe you learned how to swim and stay afloat. And I'm saying, well, look, you know, why are you focusing on the negative? You figured out how to survive this. You're even enjoying yourself now knowing how to swim. Well, you still never should have put them in that situation.
Biologically, your gene pool, that will end with you.
So what's bad about that?
Just, how do you feel just knowing that?
Yeah, fine, good. I'm not opening
That's
the
it.
door to any more bad things happening to people.
It just literally makes no sense.
Not
I mean,
an argument.
most people that I interact with have the same view as you. So, like, you've never met anyone who thinks my way, and literally everyone I meet thinks your way.
Are you a lonely child?
No, I have a sister.
No? Did you have a good childhood? Like,
Yeah.
you had a good
Everyone thinks
childhood?
anyone who has this view was
No,
abused
not at all.
as a child or something.
No, not even that. If you had a good childhood, then you know what it feels like to experience joy and memories.
Yeah, as someone who exists, but if I was never born, I would have never have missed that.
So what would you say to me if I was the one that was looking for a surrogate?
Well, I would think you shouldn't, and I would say, like, if you want to have a child and raise them, adopt.
Adopting is obviously not simple. It can be expensive. It's not for everybody, but so is having a kid.
I've had debates with many people, but that was something else. I just feel more sad for him, really, that just at a young age, he's made
So she's still not thinking of the kid.
such a life-changing decision. Just frustrated with all the negativity about why you shouldn't have children and not the positive side of what you should enjoy. I'd rather have kids. 100% life is here to be lived. and I can't wait to have more children.
We don't agree, but I enjoyed it. I do understand where people are coming from. This is a topic where I'm so often confronted by the opposing view that if I would have heard anything by now that would make me change my mind, I think I would have heard it. I would rather have no biological children, but I'm perfectly up for adopting someone.
Well, that's the whole video. I hope you enjoyed my response and reaction. Look, she's not a bad person. She's just like most people. Most people never think of this. And you can say, oh, well, now she knows. She should change her mind. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that. People have to have their minds open, and even then it can be hard to change them. It's the same thing with veganism. It's the same thing with every ethical consideration. Look, maybe it would have helped if he said that despite having kids, she could still be an anti-natalist, right? Like, it's a philosophical position. She couldn't be child-free, but she could recognize that, oh, maybe what she's done isn't the most ethical thing. So that concludes the video. Those were my thoughts. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video. I've got a music channel, so I'll link that in the description. Otherwise, just check out some of the other videos on the channel. Hope you stick around. Thank you very much.